My name is Jack. I'm 22, and this happened last October in Philadelphia. I was working the night shift as a data entry operator for a small logistics company. That night, the workload was heavy, and by the time I clocked out, it was 2:15 a.m. It was freezing outside, with a thick, low-hanging fog. I started my old 2012 Ford Focus and began the drive home. My apartment was on the outskirts of the city, which meant driving through several desolate industrial stretches. I was exhausted, thinking only of heating up some leftover Taco Bell and crashing while watching Netflix. Suddenly, my phone screen lit up on the dashboard. It was a call from my best friend from college, Liam. I wondered why he'd be calling at this hour. I picked up via Bluetooth, and Liam's voice came through, sounding absolutely terrified and breathless. "Jack, man, please help me. My car broke down near a deserted turn on Route 291, and my phone is about to die. Please get here fast." To be honest, my first thought was that Liam might be drunk or playing a prank, but the sound of him sobbing felt too real. I took a deep breath, canceled my dinner plans, and swung the car toward Route 291. After about 20 minutes, I reached the spot. It was an old industrial area, rusty warehouses on one side and dense, overgrown thickets on the other. A silver Jeep Wrangler was parked on the shoulder, its headlights cutting through the fog, but the engine was off. I pulled up behind it and stepped out. "Liam?" I called out, but there was a graveyard silence. I approached the Jeep and saw the driver's side door was half open. Liam's baseball cap was lying on the seat, but he was nowhere to be found. The keys were still dangling in the ignition. Panic began to set in. I pulled out my phone to redial him, but right at that moment, I heard a ringtone coming from the grass across the road. I switched on my flashlight and walked over. There lay Liam's iPhone. The screen was shattered, but the call was still coming through. I picked it up and saw a message from a restricted number. It read, "Jack, don't look back." A cold shiver ran down my spine. I thought maybe a gang had snatched Liam and was trying to scare me. I quickly opened his gallery and found a video recorded only 5 minutes prior. In the video, Liam was standing by his car, shaking, filming a dark shadow across the road. He was whispering, "Someone's following me. Jack is coming. He's almost here." Suddenly, a hand in a black glove lunged toward the camera, and the video cut to black. My heart was pounding against my ribs, but I forced myself to stay calm. I reached for my phone to dial 911, but then I heard it, the sound of dry leaves crunching in the bushes behind me. It was slow, deliberate, as if someone was carefully stalking me. I decided to bolt for my car, but as I turned, my eyes landed on my Ford Focus. Both back tires had been slashed, and someone had carved a massive X into the windshield with something sharp. I felt like I couldn't breathe. The person was right there in the dark, watching me. I dropped Liam's phone and dove behind a massive rusted shipping container across the road. Holding my breath, I peeked out. A moment later, a tall figure in a dark gray hood and an old gas mask emerged near my car. He was carrying a long hunting knife that glinted in the flashlight beam. He wasn't rushing. He was walking with a terrifyingly calm confidence, like he knew I was trapped. Suddenly, he turned on a small portable speaker. Liam's voice echoed through the foggy air. "Jack, man, please help me. Please get here fast."
The masked man tilted his head rhythmically to the recording, as if he were enjoying a favorite song. The realization hit me like a physical blow. Liam had been taken long ago. His voice was just the bait for this death trap. The masked man began walking toward the container where I was hiding. My hand fumbled in my pocket and found my car keys. I pressed the panic button with everything I had. My car's alarm blared violently, and the lights began to flash violently. The sudden explosion of noise and light startled the man, and he spun around to look at the car. That was my only chance. I sprinted from behind the container and ran toward the main highway as fast as my legs could carry me. I dared not look back. After running for about a mile, I saw the lights of a gas station. I burst through the doors, gasping, and begged the clerk to call the police. When the cruisers arrived at the scene, the silver Jeep was gone, and so was the masked man. My car was still there, but Liam's cap had been taken from the seat. It's been a year now. Liam was never found. The police closed the file, but sometimes at night I hear that same recording outside my apartment window. "Jack, please get here fast." I can't stay home alone anymore because I know that man is still out there, waiting for me on the shoulder of some dark road.
My name is Sarah. I'm 24, and I work for a small marketing firm in Philadelphia. This happened last September, when life felt perfectly normal. Like many people, I'd scroll through Instagram or Facebook after a long day at the office to unwind. That's where I met Laura. Laura's profile was simple, but we had so much in common. She liked the same indie music I did and posted photos of the same local cafes I frequented. We started talking, and soon we were messaging every day. She mentioned she lived only 15 minutes from my apartment. One evening, while I was in my kitchen trying to make dinner with some Target pizza dough, Laura messaged me. She suggested we finally meet in person. I thought, why not? She seemed grounded and kind. She asked to meet near Fairmount Park at an old historic-style restaurant that was mostly closed, though the garden area remained open. I hopped into my 2018 Honda Civic and drove over. It was around 7:45 p.m., and a light fog was rolling in. The location was tucked away from the city noise, with ancient oak trees canopying the paths. I parked and headed toward the garden. It was deserted, total silence. I texted Laura, "I'm here, where are you?" Immediately, a reply came, "Look behind you." I spun around to see a thin girl in a tattered yellow gown. Her hair was disheveled, and she was smiling at me as if we were long-lost best friends. "Sarah, you look exactly like I imagined," she said, stepping closer. Her tone was overly intimate. I felt a pang of nervousness. "Thanks, Laura. You look good, too." But honestly, there was a strange smell clinging to her, musty, like something that had been shut away for a long time. We sat on a bench. She kept talking, but her words started getting darker. She told me she knew who I was sitting with at Starbucks last week, and even which day I changed my bedroom sheets. My blood ran cold. How could she possibly know that? We had only ever talked online. "How do you know all this?" I asked, sliding my seat back slightly. She laughed, a sound that made the hair on my arms stand up. "Sarah, I don't just know you online. I've known you since the day you moved into that apartment.
I live behind your walls. I listen to you breathe. I thought she was joking, or maybe having a mental breakdown. I decided I needed to leave. "Laura, I think I should go. I'm not feeling well," I said, standing up, but she grabbed my hand so hard it bruised me. "The party is just starting," she said, pulling items out of an old bag and lining them up on the bench. My mind went numb as I looked at them. There was the lip balm that had gone missing from my vanity a month ago. There was my high school ring I thought I'd lost. But it didn't stop there. There were private photos of me that I had never sent to anyone, and a spare key to my front door. My heart sank. Everything I had been looking for in my apartment for months, thinking I was just being forgetful, was right there in this stranger's bag. "Your Alienware laptop was hard to crack, but I did it," she said proudly. "I love reading your diary, especially the parts where you write about being lonely. You'll never be lonely again. Sarah, I'm with you now." I realized then that this wasn't just stalking. This girl had been watching every second of my life for years, likely entering and leaving my home through the ventilation or some hidden passage. She was living my life while I slept. I wrenched my hand away with all my strength and bolted for my car. I looked back once. She was just standing there, waving goodbye as if she knew I'd be back. I started the engine and tore out of there at 80 miles per hour. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely steer, my eyes darting to the rearview mirror every second to see if she was following. I didn't go home. I went straight to a friend's house and called the police. When they searched my apartment, they found a small hole behind my bedroom closet that led to the service duct. Inside, they found Laura's clothes and food wrappers. She had been hiding there, inches away, watching me sleep. It's been months, but I still can't sleep through the night. The police never caught Laura. She vanished from the park that night. Now, every time a small item goes missing, a pen, a hair clip, I feel like I'm suffocating. I feel like she's still close by, sitting in some dark corner, waiting for me.
My name is Mason, and this happened last semester while I was studying at a university in Pennsylvania. I was just an average student, but my roommate, Ethan, was different. He was quiet, a bit mysterious, and always buried in his books. We lived together in a small off-campus apartment on Oak Street. In the beginning, Ethan was the perfect roommate. He'd make coffee for me and sometimes even cook dinner. I felt lucky to have such a caring person as a flatmate. But around October of last year, the atmosphere began to shift. I started feeling an unusual weakness in my body. I'd wake up with a heavy head and a complete lack of energy in my limbs. At first, I brushed it off as academic stress, but even after taking multivitamins from Walmart, my condition kept deteriorating. One night, when I returned from the library, I found Ethan standing by my bed. As soon as he saw me, he looked startled and quickly hid his hand in his pocket. "Oh, Jack, you're back early," he said, with a forced smile. He often called me by nicknames or messed up names when he was nervous. There was a strange glint in his eyes that sent a shiver down my spine. That night, my suspicion turned into conviction. I thought he was either stealing my stuff or tampering with my phone. I set up my Alienware gaming laptop on the desk facing my bed and turned on the webcam using a motion detection app that would only record if it sensed movement. The next night, I kept the same routine. As usual, Ethan gave me a glass of milk before bed. Without him seeing, I poured it down the sink and lay in bed, faking sleep. At around 3:15 a.m., I heard the faint click of the door opening. I kept my breathing steady and my eyes shut. I felt someone standing right at the head of my bed. That person stood there perfectly still for at least 10 minutes. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it would explode. I wanted to scream, but I had to know the truth. Then I heard a metallic sound, the sound of a small vial being opened. A short while later, he silently slipped out of the room. The next morning, as soon as Ethan left for class, my hands shook as I opened my laptop. My blood ran cold when I saw the footage. The screen clearly showed Ethan entering my room. In one hand, he held a small vial, and in the other, a syringe. He watched me for a few minutes, and then, with terrifying coldness, he injected something into my arm. There was no remorse on his face, only a twisted, diabolical smile. I immediately scoured his social media accounts. I found an old blog of his where he wrote about his obsession with controlling people and wanting his best friend to be permanently dependent on him. He wasn't trying to kill me. He was giving me paralytic drugs to ensure I could never leave him. I quickly threw my essentials into a bag. I couldn't stay there for another second. As I headed for the front door, a cold voice came from behind me. "Mason, where are you going?" Ethan was standing in the kitchen, peeling an apple with a large knife. He hadn't gone to the university that day. I'm just going to grab some groceries," I stammered. My legs were like jelly. Ethan put the knife down and started walking towards me. "You don't look well, friend. You can't go alone. Come, let me tuck you back into bed." His tone was so flat and menacing that I felt like I was looking at my own death. As he got closer, I shoved him with all my might and bolted out the door. I didn't look back. I jumped into my 2016 Toyota Corolla, started the engine, and drove straight to my parents' house, 2 hours away. On the way, I called the police and sent them the video as evidence. When the police arrived at the apartment, it was silent. Ethan had vanished. They recovered medications used in hospitals to keep patients unconscious during surgery. How he obtained them remains a mystery. It's been 5 months now. I've left that university, and I'm taking classes online from home. But last week, I received an anonymous parcel. Inside was the same small vial and a note. The note read, "It's time for your dose, Mason. I'm coming soon." Now I lock my bedroom door 3 times every night, but I can still feel him out there, sitting in the dark, waiting for me.